not one, but two missing children. A dog that barks at everything, a mother who left on the second day, a father who hasn't seen the kids in 3 years, and a stepfather trying to piece things together.
Yeah, right.
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanted to know, like, what happened.
The mystery of what happened to 6-year-old Lilly Mae Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother, Jack William James Sullivan, is indeed gripping the country and beyond.
2 children gone without a trace.
This better be good.
Entry, just a deafening silence and a story that feels all too rehearsed. CBC News has just released a haunting new interview surrounding the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. At first glance, the questions seem gentle, almost sympathetic. But listen closely, and you'll hear something deeper, a quiet unraveling. The man in the hot seat is Daniel Martell,
Hot seat.
their stepfather. And from the moment he starts speaking, something feels off. His version of events doesn't just strain logic, it breaks it. Claims that conflict with basic timelines. Details that contradict the only other witness in the house, Maleha.
And the question is, why does Daniel keep talking? And a lack of self-awareness is often the key. And how little self-awareness some people have, you will start to accept the longer you do this. Because a lot of people simply do not have it at all. They have only their life experiences. And their own life experiences often lead them to believe that whatever they're doing could be a good avenue. And there's a real reason for everything. So whenever somebody does some really blatant or talks in a way that you wonder, why are they saying that? Are they really expecting a positive outcome from saying some real dumb? It is because it worked at one point. People do what they have had success with before. And Daniel talks your ear off, right? He talks and talks and talks, and maybe even when he was a child, he had a habit of talking his way out of situations, and people thinking, he's all right. He didn't, maybe teachers, maybe who knows who. I think he had success in the past as a child, especially talking his way out of things. So he actually thinks he's slick. And he's thinking very positive. Like a lot of people in his situation would probably hide, say, I'm not saying nothing. I'm going to sit up in my trailer and pray that people forget what happened here or what could have happened here. Because I sure ain't going to help him out with my leaking statements. However, he does what has worked in the past. And again, it worked with maybe some people in his rural area where he grew up. And he doesn't think ahead, like, is this going to work for the general public? Are people not smart enough? Aren't there enough people who can see through me? Logan, even worse. Logan is confident. She gets on there and she talks about Malaya because she thinks Malaya is a complete dumbass. And weak and easy to manipulate, doesn't have her own mind. And Logan, Meadow. She has no respect for Malaya. She doesn't consider Malaya to be an equal. That's just the woman under my little cousin's thumb who isn't the smartest dude either. And so she feels authorized to come on some show and just say it how she wants to say it and expects people to believe her because she feels, hey, I'm the smart one here in this family, man. So it's absolutely amazing how people love to talk. And when you read people their rights, only I think you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be blah 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 blah. Only around 6%, from what I understand, are actually choosing silence. Only around 6% say, I have nothing to say, I want an attorney. 94% say, that's cool, I'm just going to keep on talking. People want to talk. People think they're smart enough, and they remember the times they've been in trouble before. Again, it often goes back to childhood. And they rely on their ability to just lie their way out of things. Of course, some of these people really don't even want to lie. They just say, but as I always advise everybody, man, when you talk to police, you better be aware that, an attorney is definitely the way to go. But people like to talk. Even when you try to convince them, hey, you're going to. Oh, by the way, sometimes I watch these body cam videos. And I may share this with you guys in the future, a video of a woman who drove drunk, parked her car, but kept her mouth shut, and they couldn't arrest her for drunk driving. So on the one hand, I'm thinking, these people need to be busted. But on the other hand, I'm like, wow, okay, the law is very, police need this confession, and they want to get it, and they want to keep you talking, and you give yourself away the more you talk. So Daniel, he keeps yapping, and of course, if I guess he doesn't have an attorney. Attorney costs money. If he gets arrested, he will get one, right? From what I understand, this is how it works. But you need to first get arrested. So Logan isn't bright enough to advise him properly. She's the same way, maybe a little bit brighter. Maybe she lives a little bit of a better life. Maybe she has a nice house, or has she has a she's more part of the, how can I say this, of a different society that feels like they're far above how Daniel lives. So she's very arrogant, actually. Her approach is very much one of, give me the microphone, let me handle it, give me the phone. You know what I mean? Let me do the talking. You shut up. You don't know. That's like the type of person that she strikes me as.
Who was awake? Who noticed the children were gone? Who saw them last? Today on True Crime Stories Hour, we examine every fracture in their stories.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because when children go missing, the smallest lie can carry the heaviest weight.
Okay.
And sometimes the truth is hiding in plain sight. Six weeks of silence. 6 weeks of questions without answers. And now, the man at the center of it all, Daniel Martell, finally speaks. But what does he say?
Speaking the whole time, idiot.
And what does he leave out?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanted to know
What's this eye movement,
happened.
man?
6 weeks of silence. 6 weeks of questions without answers. And now, the man at the center of it all, Daniel Martell, finally speaks. But what does he say? And what does he leave out?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody
Watch how the left eye. Did you see that?
basically in the world at this point is always wanted to know, like, what happened.
First, his use of "it's been a long 6 weeks" positions himself at the emotional center of the narrative. Rather than opening with concern for the children, he focuses on his own experience, subtly shifting sympathy toward himself. This self referential framing is a common behavioral tactic in deceptive statements, whereas
Right. I mean, but it also is just a very natural reaction of somebody who knows already what happened. And he's a selfish person. He didn't worry about, well, he's all about himself, right? All about himself. And that comes out so much that he is, of course, not worried about Lily and Jack, but then again, he knows what happened to them. So he is not like a lot of people who think that maybe, I don't know if people, it'd be interesting if I asked now in a survey here, do you think Jack and Lily are still alive? I think 80% would say no, probably, right? And 20% would say, let's keep up hope. But he already knows what happened. So he is not that self-aware. So of course the only thing he'll tell you about is how he's alone and how he's stressed out and how his life is just horrible, and because of all this, his life, you know what I mean? Going from 7 to just him. Yeah.
subject aims to gain empathy or deflect scrutiny by highlighting personal stress
Exactly.
rather than expressing urgency or sorrow for the victims. Second, the phrase, "I know that everybody basically in the world at this point."
And this is interesting how he tried to come off, and I think at that point he was extremely sleep deprived. You know, he probably was up the night leading up to Friday morning. And I guess the next day he had some sleep, but still he looked a little disheveled. Now it's quite the opposite. Now he makes sure he looks very clean, and he comes off a lot calmer, but he has the stooping delight going.
Point is always wanting to know what happened is both exaggerated and vague. The use of
Why wouldn't people want to know what happened? Why is this worth mentioning? And the use of the term always indicates that he needs a break from his stand of view, from his standpoint. He's not getting any break. Always. As in, the kids are always talking. The kids are always yapping. The kids are always wild. The kids, you know what I mean? Something that annoys him. It annoys him that people, they always want to know what happened. And it also tells us he doesn't want people to know what happened, and he has no interest in knowing what happened because he already does. And there's also this form of glee to a degree, as in Chris Proudfoot. I know something you don't know. I cannot tell you what I know, but I feel very smart right now because I know something and you do not. And as I have said, the vast majority of guesses you will see online and on other channels, the vast majority is absolutely wrong. You know, I keep getting, and I thank you for the messages about, supposed family member. I'm not looking at those unless I have downtime, unless there is a lack of statements, and still then I'm waiting for somebody to verify things for me first, because it is too much, and a lot of these so-called creators are actually, they don't care if it's true or not. A lot of them, allegedly, right? Because that gives them viewers, and they can always say, "Oh well, I goofed again." You know what I mean? So I have not as much of a problem with this particular channel, even though it's AI. It gives me the opportunity to correct some of what they get wrong, and add more to what they're hinting at, because again, AI is not yet ready for statement analysis, and I don't think it ever will be able to, because AI does not have intuition. Intuition is something you cannot copy. And so I always rely on the few of you who have it, and myself, of course. But this AI tool, I think, is not willfully deceiving, misleading, or putting somebody on, giving somebody more of a platform who they may think, it's probably maybe not him, maybe I don't care, let's put this person on. I think this channel, sadly speaking, is much better than the vast majority of what's out there. So I do not mind watching this one, and I do look at what you guys send me, and I appreciate it. And it also gives me an opportunity to make a decision on my own and say, okay, do I pay attention to this or not? Because once I do, I really pay attention to something. And I do anonymous author identification. It's a tool, a part of statement analysis that lets you very close to who actually is the person making the statements. So in an anonymous threatening letter or something, that's where you apply it. And I applied it also when I had to make a decision whether or not I'm going to allow myself to look at Daniel Martel's private messages that he sent to somebody. And a lot of people said, oh, how do we know that it's real unless I get proof? No, I already had enough for me to go say, okay, green light here.
Everybody bad in the world is a grandiose generalization, which often suggests the speaker feels scrutinized
There he is.
and is attempting to justify their position preemptively. It can also indicate a heightened awareness of public perception, often
And again, the grandma was nowhere near him at the will floor.
seen in subjects who are managing image rather than telling a story transparently. Furthermore, wanting to know what happened is deliberately passive and non-specific. He doesn't say what I did or what I saw. He avoids aligning himself directly with the events.
Yeah.
In statement analysis,
Oh, really?
this distancing language
Avoidance.
is notable. It reflects an effort to remain emotionally and factually detached from the incident being described. He claims he wasn't in a deep sleep.
He sure did.
That he noticed Lilly coming in and out, that only 20 minutes passed. But when he woke up, everything had changed. And what he says next raises more questions than it answers.
And I like the fact that we are able to see him here in a way where he doesn't know he's being photographed. And he's looking down. He doesn't seem on edge in terms of, let me go look. Not necessarily, not urgency, but he's thinking about something really intensely. And I don't think he's necessarily the thinking type, but at that moment he is. And I don't know, was it taken when? Was it taken during the search? You know what? I'm always assuming it because he always has the right shirt on. But maybe not. Maybe this was a different time. You see, these are the kind of things that I need to know.
Malaya and baby were asleep. Lily came in.
And baby, vulnerable baby. Not her name matter, but baby. He wanted the baby to sleep. He did not want the two kids who are wild with Malaya to disturb the baby's sleep. You can tell a 4 and a 6-year-old be quiet or shut up, as he may have said it, but a baby sleeps when a baby sleeps. So as children grow older and get louder, more of a problem may have come up. And around the time that Meadow was born was when Malaya stopped seeing the grandmother, the biological grandmother of Jack and Lily. So everything had changed, and Jack and Lily were on the back burner. So more or less, they had to rely on Daniel. At least according to him, or Logan especially, it was Meadow. So who kept them quiet and how? And what was different about that Thursday where the kids were not in school? Unexpectedly, they had a cold or something like that.
Multiple times. I was not in deep sleep by any means.
Again, look at her. How guarded. How open she was with the grandmother, and how guarded she is with him. In my opinion, I can guarantee you she's thinking, I'm looking at a potential killer. She doesn't let him in at all.
And then about 20 minutes passed, and then when I woke up, Malaya was right beside me.
So she was there the whole time. She couldn't have done anything without you noticing. So your whole BS about she had a look of guilt on her face. And by the way, when was she on the phone all the time? You said she is asleep. When was she playing on the phone? Was that the evening or the night or the afternoon before? When Lily actually kept coming in and out of your room because Jack was out and she didn't give any attention to a situation that you took care of your way.
Still asleep. And I said, I don't hear Lily and Jack.
He's breaking script. The script that Malaya and him agreed on. Because he now realizes he wants to protect himself. And he has no clue who Malaya is speaking to, about what. Is she opening up to anybody? He is now about himself. He's not going too far away from the script, but he's making sure he is fighting for himself. Before he was fighting for them. Now he's only fighting for himself. Let me see these messages. Just some further thoughts on Daniel Malaya. Okay, I read this later.
He begins by situating others. Malaya and baby were asleep, which externalizes responsibility.
So he was in bed. He was asleep. Supposedly it happened that morning. That's his so-called alibi.
When we touch here, just try this, ladies and gentlemen.
This early emphasis on their unconscious state subtly distances them from the unfolding events. A strategy.
It allows you to have selective memory and have something to blame it on. I don't remember nothing. Don't ask me this one. Oh, no. If you suggest something, no. That's the moment when I was out of sleep. And I remember that didn't happen. So you pick and choose what you wish the narrative to be. And you want to pretend to remember from that morning. So being in and out of sleep, by no means you're not a deep sleeper or you were not in a deep state of sleep. So yeah, you're able to say a lot of things. But then you're also able to say, no. I don't remember that part, but maybe, who knows? There's always this deniability.
Strategy often used to control the perceived timeline and limit who could be held accountable.
Yeah.
His assertion, I was not in deep sleep by
That's the
any
one.
means, is a strong denial that draws attention. It is unnecessarily emphatic. Truthful people typically state facts plainly.
Yeah.
While deceptive individuals tend to qualify.
So in such state, there's a lot of deniability, a lot of opportunity here where you can also say, oh, I don't know, maybe I was dreaming it or this. And again, he said, they said the glass door, you cannot hear it. But then later he said at another point, or maybe before actually, he said, yeah, we hear it. So if police asked him, hey, let's look at your door. And he's like, what the hell? Police is like, what the hell? This is really loud. Oh, well, yeah, I did hear something, but I wasn't sure. You know what I mean? So still, we need to notice it. We cannot take his word for it. I don't believe he was asleep at all that particular morning. I think that he was very active that particular night.
Qualify their statements in anticipation of doubt. The phrase also contradicts the implication.
And again, these interviews, I think they all started the day after on May 3rd. Because I think the first day the news cameras may have not been there at all. Because it was just a missing case. It was just another case of kids, just children missing, and it was not that huge of a deal. And of course, I'm going to play in a minute about, let me go through this right now.
Help to try to figure what happened to 4-year-old Jack and 6-year-old Lily Sullivan.
Thank you, Sandra, for bringing all this to my attention. This particular segment, reward offered for help finding missing Nova Scotia kids. And this is, of course, now the rewards being offered. And as I said before, if you're anywhere in Nova Scotia, check your cameras. If you still have footage from 6-7 weeks ago, that night or the evening of Thursday, May 1 to Friday morning, May 2, save it if you can. I don't care where in Nova Scotia you live. Because unfortunately, they're not telling us what. By the way, what type of vehicles, what makes, what colors, what models would people be on the lookout for? Are they not allowed to tell us that? I guess not, right? Daniel made it very clear how much a suspect he was, and still is, in my opinion. But now we see the pattern, how the police operate there. They did everything to hide it. They did not even hint at it. So they didn't say, Daniel drives this type of vehicle and the mom drives this type of vehicle. If you have seen this vehicle moving anytime, anywhere on the freeways or maybe the side roads of Truro or what have you, they're not doing that. So somebody out there may actually have something on camera that they are not even aware of. Hold on to that. Remember, it took them 3 weeks to get the footage from that neighbor. How long is it going to take them to openly say, we need camera footage from all over, especially any freeway headed for the coast, for coastal areas? So I really hope somebody out there is going to realize, I got this guy on camera in the middle of that night. And thank God I didn't record over it, delete it, because now I got $150,000 more. Somebody needs to get this money. Somebody has to get it, because I think there's a huge possibility that somebody's sitting on $150,000 right now, and they don't even know it.
Investigators are looking at every avenue, and we're using every tool possible. And this is simply another avenue that could shed some more light or information to come forward.
That avenue is the RCMP asking Nova Scotia's Department of Justice to add the children's disappearance to the province's rewards program.
Again, this is a huge priority for them. And they wanted to have an Amber Alert. Well, they're not giving us the Amber Alert because they don't think there was an abduction. But this doesn't mean that they don't pay attention to this case. This case is really important to them. And of course, you may not know it because police is extremely tight-lipped. Daniel says he was a suspect. No, they did not say. Who even they said, we know you killed the kids, right? Or something like that. They were really with him. They were a lot tougher. It was extremely different from how they gave press conferences. So I think their hands are bound. And please, one of you listening up there in Canada, check your footage. Ask your friends and neighbors, do you have anything on camera from the night, from the evening of May 1 to the morning hours of May 2, anywhere from Lansdowne Station towards most likely the coastline, but who knows? Check your cameras everywhere. Find out what type of vehicles these people have. Are we not allowed to say it online? Are we not allowed to share it? I have never seen anybody share an image. Was Malaya's car driving? Was it drivable? What kind of car does Daniel or the mother or the... Nothing, right? Nothing. That's what I would think would make sense to say, be on a lookout for this vehicle from the time frame I just mentioned, within time frame. Have you seen this vehicle? Not have you seen anything? No. If they would have been transported in a car and Daniel was driving, maybe had his hoodie on, maybe this orange Nike hoodie, with his face not being visible. This is an uphill battle, people. And the uphill battle is, of course, these regulations that they have up there in terms of not being able to be as transparent as I know for a fact they would love to be. So you have some dumb search supervisor who tries to tell you the kids were hiding in the woods. You have these types of people yapping about something that's absolutely impossible. But the real information we are not able to get to yet. We will, but I hope it's not too late whenever we cross that road.
Offering up to $150,000 for information to figure out what happened.
I can't speculate as to the nature of information that may either lead to the solving of this case or to a reward, and I wouldn't want to discourage anybody from reaching out. We want anybody who has any information, and no matter how small they think it could...
Give us some details, man. Let's say no matter how small. So they're hoping that people like us put the pieces together without them having to say it. So, yeah. How about telling us what kind of cars they had? How about helping us a little bit? They want the tips, the right tips. That's why they're offering $150,000. Without us knowing the details that we may need to know. So they probably hope, well, maybe somebody is going to do the extra legwork and figure things out that we're not allowed to say, and with that be able to give us the evidence that we need to go after this guy.
It is to reach out.
It's now been almost 7 weeks since the Sullivan children went missing from their family's home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
A tragedy gripping the county, province, and beyond.
I certainly don't remember in my years seeing two young kids going missing like this and nothing coming out of it yet.
Lilly is 4 feet tall and 60 pounds and believed to be wearing a pink Barbie.
So I guess in Canada, sometimes they use kilometers and they use feet, and got it.
Top with rubber boots and a cream-colored backpack with strawberry print.
Okay, this is the one. And now it must be brown, right? Got it.
Jack is 3'6", weighing 40 pounds. Officials believe he was wearing a pull-up diaper, black Under Armour jogging pants, and blue rubber boots with a dinosaur print. Since their May 2nd disappearance, police have received 508 tips and interviewed 56 people. All have cooperated with police. Former OPP Commissioner and CTV Public Safety Analyst Chris Lewis says the rewards program is a risk-free step for the police.
What tells me is,
Yeah.
number one, that there is a bit of a stalemate somehow in their investigation in all likelihood.
Yeah.
And they're looking to get more conversation going. Potentially what they want.
Yeah, I agree. And they only talk to him every 5 days now, to the stepfather, sorry, if he even is that. And so, he has a stupidly light going because he passed his polygraph, despite being extremely nervous. Yeah.
Want is a tip that will lead them to whoever is responsible for this.
Yeah.
And Chris Lewis, who you just heard from at the end of the story, says at the end of the day, someone out there knows something about what happened in this horrific case. Hundreds of people, dogs, drones, and helicopters were involved in extensive searches. The last one was June 1st. RCMP again saying further searches will be dictated by information that comes forward. The province's justice minister says she's hopeful including this case in the rewards program will help bring it to a close.
Okay, great.
It's Thursday, June 19th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Reward money is offered for information in the missing siblings case. A graduate is riding high.
What happened is deliberately passive and non-specific.
So, if you, again, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.